Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Well, hello. So I want to just dive in here. I have a worksheet for you that you can get over on Teachable, and you can go to my Teresa Ford Coaching. That's Teresa Ford Coaching.teachable.com and grab this worksheet for free. So I wanted to make this worksheet available for you because if you're listening to this podcast episode on making your beliefs work for you, it's going to be necessary that you actually have the worksheet to go through it, because this is not just something you do in your head. I mean, it can be a great realization exercise, it can be a good awareness exercise, but unless you actually do the work, it's really not going to work for you. So let's get started. I'm going to jump in. So make sure you've gone to teresafordcoaching.teachable.com to grab your free worksheet. You can just download it and have it out in front of you as you listen to this, or you can listen to it first and then jump into the worksheet later, but it's going to make more sense if you are looking at it or have at least reviewed it before listening to this. So that's a good place to start. So we're diving in. We are going to talk about the very first segment out of 10. The first segment that you need to know when you are working with beliefs that are no longer working for you is to understand that there is a triggering event or circumstance that you've just experienced. So if you have negative emotion, you've just experienced something that is not working for you. Meaning, it may not be that somebody wronged you as much as the thought you're having about how they wronged you or what they did that you didn't like, or that it was a mirror projection of what you don't like about you. So when something happens and negative emotion is produced, you had a thought and it's not working for you, because the ultimate goal here, remember, the ultimate goal is to feel better. It's to feel good. So you gotta figure out what's not making you feel good. You know, if you're looking around in the world and not happy with who's in charge and how it's being run and who's doing what, it's what you're thinking about that's causing you the most stress. So this is a stress reduction exercise. It's turning your beliefs and your thoughts around to work for you. So your beliefs are just habits of thought, and you develop those habits of thought over a long period of time. It wasn't just yesterday that you developed a belief system. You have operated by your family's belief system for a very long time. Even if you disagreed with it, you've still spent quite a bit of time focused on it. You know, it's that mantra that we say is like, I'm never going to be like my mother. Well, you're going to be like her because you're focused on how you're not going to be like her, meaning you're focused on what you don't like about her, which brings more of that to you, and you find yourself acting like her. That's why we find ourselves going, oh my gosh, I think that was my mother talking when I opened my mouth. You are going to be like the person you don't want to be if you're focused on how not to be like that. So we've got to, again, that is just a belief system that there was something wrong and you didn't like it, you don't want to be anything like it, and so we've got to turn it around to make it work for you, meaning you can be unlike that without looking at what it's like to be unlike that. I know, it's getting convoluted. Let's dive in. Okay, describe the triggering events or circumstances. That is number one. So I was fine until fill in the blank, and it just made me so mad that I blanked. So it might be that you had a circumstance that was like, I was fine until somebody barged in on me and interrupted my free time again. And so then I just shut down and I stopped doing the thing I wanted to do. And then now you're being a victim, and now you're going without, and now it feels like people are invading your space and you hate it. Okay? So you've got to fill in these blanks. So I gave you starter sentences, things that could trigger maybe a thought. If you can't come up with it on your own, and you're free to do so, then you're just going to fill in these blanks to help you realize how you were really feeling about that event or that circumstance that triggered negative emotion, even if it's superficial negative emotion. You know, that was mildly annoying. This is still going to help you understand that you continue to get more of what you think about. And that's why we've got to turn your thoughts, that all the thoughts strung together form your beliefs. We've got to make your beliefs work for you, right? So this worksheet is hopefully helping you break this down little at a time, because the hardest person for you to see is you. It really is. So filling in these blanks is going to get you some clarity here. Okay, so another one of the starter sentences is, every time I blank and I can never blank no matter what I do. So fill in those blanks. Every time I ask for some peace and quiet, or need time off, I can never get heard, understood, accepted, whatever. I'm just not being heard or accepted. So no matter what I do. And that's going to be a frustration for you, right? If it's bringing up frustration, that's usually your needs going unmet. So many times when we have triggering circumstances, those are needs going unmet. And our thought process is bringing more of those to us because we keep trying to prove that we're right. I know, it's subconscious. It's hard for you to see this until we go through this worksheet together. But it's really important for you to see that your thoughts can work for you and they can work against you, and you'll get more of what you don't want if that's what you're thinking about. So you fill in those blanks the best way that it works for you. Like, I was so tired and just wanted blank, but then blank. So I was just so tired, I just wanted a nap, or I just wanted some food, or I just wanted some peace and quiet, or I just wanted to stop talking about that subject, but then something happened and you didn't get your need met. Okay, fill in those blanks. Take your time, be thoughtful. All right, next segment 2. Name the fear and or personal need that you believe has been ignored or will go unmet again. So the examples I give are love, acceptance, support, understanding, acknowledgement. Like, there's a lot going on there, and a lot of times we leave it up to other people who are also having a hard time in life and they're struggling. We leave it up to them to do those things for us. Let me just give you a heads up here. It is your job to do these things. That's why they're going unmet, is you are not meeting these needs for yourself. So sometimes we're like, yeah, but I want my parents to finally be proud of me, or I want my boss to understand I'm overworked and underpaid, or I want my spouse to just surprise me for a change and do something nice for me, and because I'm always doing that for that person. Right? If those are things that you think that you're putting your personal power out there in the world, hoping somebody knows what you need more than you do, you're going to be disappointed. So that's why your needs are going unmet. But sometimes in our childhood, we were conditioned to believe that we couldn't get our needs met. If you were raised the old-fashioned way like I was, and it was your parents' way or the highway, you didn't get a choice. You didn't get to say what you needed to say. If I ever breathed incorrectly, it was put upon me that I was being disrespectful, when I really did have a voice and we could have communicated. And even though I didn't have to agree with my mom and she didn't have to make herself 100% clear, there needed to be some communication there, but there was nothing left but frustration. Also, if you've ever had gaslighting in your life, like I have, you will hear people say, well, you don't know what you're talking about, or you're not hurt, get over it. That is gaslighting. It is inappropriate, and it is on the side of emotional abuse. So if that's happened to you, there is a good chance that you felt confused. You felt like you couldn't get your needs met because you didn't know what you were talking about. You learned to not trust yourself. So again, it's okay if you've been waiting for other people to make your life better. But you have to also understand that that's not going to make your life better. You're not waiting for them. When you do this for yourself, it's nice if they think of things for you. It's nice if they do something out of the ordinary that they think you would like, but it's not necessary, because you'll know you're doing a good job when they're like, hey, good job. You're like, yeah, thanks, because you already know it. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's about time you noticed, because that, again, breeds more negative emotion. So this is your work. This is the foundation of your work right here, is to get your personal needs met. But until you know how to do that, as we go through this, you're going to get more clarity as we go. Okay? So you wanted to know in that particular event, like you can list 6 events, but you're going to do all 10 of these segments for each of those 6 events. Does that make sense? You're going to get clarity on what each of those 6 events meant to you, because it was a habit of thought that is triggering a belief that is false. It's a belief system that you think is true. You've been operating as though it's true, like my spouse should know what I need. You think that's true, but it's false, because every time it doesn't happen, you feel negative emotion. So that's how you know it's a false belief you think is true. So we're turning these around so that your thoughts turn into beliefs that are true, and they do work for you because you feel better and you're not waiting on everybody else to do that for you. Okay? All right, so name the fear or the personal need that you believe has gone ignored or will go unmet. So you might say, to be loved, to be appreciated. I just wanted recognition. I just wanted a thank you. My basic need was just to get some rest and use my voice to say I needed the rest, to put a boundary in place, to let others know that I'm not available until this certain time during the day. I felt that I couldn't have blank. So fill in those blanks, and if you think of any of your own, write them all down. Any that you come up with on your own, it's going to give you clarity. Okay, section 3. List negative thoughts in order of disintegration. So now this one's a little trickier, because you're like, well, it just made me freaking mad. Well, okay, you disintegrated through a few other emotions. So the emotion scale, you can Google that one online. There's an emotion scale out there that gives you all the emotions so that it can put words to how you were feeling. Because if you're going from anger to pride to resentment to hate to guilt to grief to fear to insecurity and then to overwhelm, that's a disintegration pattern. Like anger's got some fight. Overwhelm falls into the despair and helplessness category. So there is less energy. Those are worse places to be for you for any length of time if you're down there in fear, insecurity, overwhelm, despair. Those are much lower energetically than guilt, hate, resentment, pride, anger. Those go up the scale because they have a lot more energy behind them, even if they're negative. So what I want you to do here is list negative thoughts in order of disintegration. First, the thought came to mind was, I can suck it up, I'll be all right. And then I just knew I couldn't get the rest I needed, and I had a lot yet to do because this person's emergency now has become my emergency. So then I just thought, never mind. I'll never feel rested. I'm just gonna have to go without, and I might as well just not even go to sleep tonight and try and get more done on less sleep because it's just freaking annoying. Okay, so if you're working through this and you can find all those adjectives that fit in there to describe exactly the emotions and how you are feeling, that's going to get clear. It may turn into a journal entry. Like, I'm just warning you now, as you start talking about this and you start really laying down the way you feel about something and how wrong it was or how unfair it was or how frustrating it was, or that it's a repeating pattern forever and ever and you'll never seem to break the cycle. If that is what's coming up, just keep writing. Do not limit yourself on just filling in the blank unless that's all that's coming to you, and I'm pretty sure it's not. I would wager that more of that venting is there for you to write about. And venting is not a bad thing. Sometimes I would vent with the end of my pen, holding it in a fist, and I would just scribble as hard as I could and break through 10 pages on my notepad and wrinkle them up, throw them all away, because I just didn't have the words. I was too mad. So whatever's coming up in you, I mean, some of these things have been there for decades, and other things are superficial, but they're still a little on the annoying side, and you'd like to do something about it. So whatever comes up, it's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. So write it down and get clear on the negative thoughts in order of disintegration. So you started out in one place, and then it just got irritating more and more that you thought about it as the day went on, and just, snowballed into a massive bowl of ice cream and, a resolution you'd never talk to that person again. So whatever your thoughts were to start with, they had less of the negative energy with the very first impression you had, and they always snowball and get bigger unless we do something about it. So see if you can list how you were feeling in order of disintegration. Okay, section 4. List the false beliefs. Okay, this one is tricky. I admit it. The false belief is the thing that makes you feel negative emotion. We may think it's true that people should be nice no matter what, even if they're having a bad day. I don't treat you that way, you don't treat me that way. That is a false belief because you don't get to control the other person. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you're like, well, I believe, or it's clear that I believe I can't, you fill in those blanks with long sentences. I believe people should be nice no matter what because I would never do that to them. If that's the belief that triggered all of this, that was part of that trigger event, it's a false belief because you don't get to decide if they're going to be nice or not. You can't control free agency in someone else's world. If they lose control of themselves and they treat you or say something unkind, it's not about you. It's about their hard life. Does that make sense? You're taking things personally. So just keep working with this. Just work through this. As I felt blank because I had to blank in order to blank, and I couldn't do that, so I just blanked. Fill that in with all the words you can think of. I felt frustrated because I had to suck it up in order to not create a fuss, and I couldn't do that because they were already on the war path and they created a fuss anyway, and I was to blame. Like, whatever comes up for you. I'm just giving you some examples of how that frustration can be. So identify the parts of your sentence structures that really identifies the false beliefs and circle those. Circle them. Because I had to suck it up. That is a false belief. You do not have to suck it up. If you're a people pleaser, you will suck it up. You have been sucking it up, and it's exhausting. So us people pleasers have got to rewrite those belief systems, because you can be kind, but you don't have to take other people's crap. You can still be kind, and you don't have to take anything personally in the way of what other people are dishing out. You can still be kind and set a good, clear boundary. That's true. And it will make you feel better, meaning you will find relief to the negative emotions you feel about other people always dumping their crap on you, and you will feel better. It's like, you know what? I can still be me, a nice person, a kind person, an empathic person, and have compassion for what somebody else is doing without taking away from me. Okay? All right, number 5, section 5. List the needs you need met, and feel free to make several statements about one or more of those needs. Okay, so I need to blank when I blank so I don't feel so blank. I need to speak up when I feel somebody is trying to manipulate me or control me so I don't feel so blank. Used, unappreciated, frustrated. Okay, I just want blank when I'm tired. And the fact that you want it means you can have it. You may have to reorganize things. I wanted to exercise when I had 5 kids under the age of 13, but I didn't have time. I was homeschooling them, but I made time because I reworked their bedtime routine to make sure that they got in bed sooner and I got in bed sooner so that I could get up, because the only time of day I had to exercise really by myself without interruption was between 5 and 6 in the morning. And if I was going to get out of bed at 5 o'clock regularly, I had to do something different, and my husband was not going to help me with that. He was just overworked and overloaded and too tired on his own merit to help me with my problem. So it was up to me to fix the problem. And I did decide how I wanted it done. I didn't have to be mad at everybody for not going to bed sooner and on time when I didn't do anything about it. I did something about it. They were in bed. I was in bed. I got up at 5. I worked out, and it resulted in an 8 dress size loss in 6 months. Yahoo! I mean, it's up to you. You've got to do the work to make your life the way you want it. So this is just another example of figuring out what needs that you want met. I need blank when I am blank. I need rest when I am tired. I need to go to bed when I've had it for the day. Whatever you need, you can have it. You wouldn't want it if it wasn't going to make your life better, right? Okay. Section 6. Take your time in each of these sections. Remember that there is no hurry. You don't have to keep up with the audio. You can put me on pause and then jump back in, okay? All right, section 6. List the evidence that does not support the fear-driven thought listed in the disintegration column. List the evidence that does not support. So if you're over there in the listing your thoughts in order of disintegration, you've got to look around the room, quote unquote, the world, your environment, whatever, your family line, and find the evidence that does not support the fear-driven thoughts listed there. So they're fear-driven because they produce negative emotion. If they were love and light driven, they would produce positive emotion. So anything having to do with fear that you can't get your needs met, fear of speaking up, or just feeling put upon without any reprieve, all of that is fear, okay? So list the negative emotions in order of disintegration, okay, in section 3. You've done that, but now in section 6, I need you to go back and work through these sentences. I see others blank, which tells me I could also blank. I see others going to bed early, which tells me I can figure out how to get to bed sooner too. No one actually said I had to blank. Whatever is in your third segment, your third section, whatever's in there, write according to what you wrote there so you can stay on the same thought process, okay? I always thought I had to blank, which made me feel so blank, but if that makes me feel blank, negative emotion, and negative emotion is a false belief, that I think is true, then blank would be the opposite of my beliefs, and I could try to blank instead next time this happens. Can you see? Like you're coming up with your own solution there. So if you can go back and identify those negative thoughts that you're having and then transform them into, okay, this is what I've been doing and it's not working for me because I always get the short end of the stick, then next time I could do this because I can actually have the things I want. I can have them. They're mine if I want them. Okay, so that's going to really help you understand what it is that has been holding you back and how to get more of what you want. All right, next segment, it's number 7. Give yourself permission to meet your needs and wants. Woof. I tell you, it's taken me years to do that, but I'm giving you permission to do it now so that you don't have to spend years like I did hoping and wishing someone would save you or rescue you or give you permission or tell everybody to back off for a second and give you a breather. Like, I had to work myself. I'm a very sensitive person. I'm a very helper-oriented person. I'm an Enneagram 2, if that means anything to you, if you've studied the Enneagram. I'm a helper by nature. I love to help, but I also want to be appreciated. That's my motivation for helping, which is not necessarily the bright spot of a helper because not everybody's going to appreciate you. I have learned to help because I love it. And I only help when I'm the motivator behind it, not because I need somebody else to give me appreciation, right? So, I'm also an empath. I really pick up on other people's feelings, which is a strong trait of a Enneagram 2. So, if you haven't looked up your own Enneagram, Google it. It's very interesting. There's free tests out there for you to take. Okay, but when you know yourself and you know why it's hard, that you were conditioned to believe you couldn't have your needs met because you're a sensitive person anyway, because you've always been taught to care more about what other people think than what you think about you, that's going to be a tough one to give yourself permission to meet your own needs and wants. But you can, and you don't have to do it by being angry. I can blank whenever I want. I can take a 10-minute timeout whenever I want. When you tell yourself that, then you will find the logical places where that fits in. You'll be like, okay, if that's true, because it makes you feel better to have permission to take a rest or to eat whenever you want, then you'll find, like, obviously when you're in the middle of customer service, you know, you're working or whatever, you're in the middle of a meeting or a project, that's not the time to take a nap. But if you can take a nap whenever you want, you'll give yourself permission to maybe schedule it in. It's like, well, I'm not available between 1 and 1:30 because I'm going to be taking a nap, but I can see you at 1:30. I can meet with somebody at 1:30. Right? You can reschedule your day to make it work for you. You do not have to be, excuse the expression, balls to the walls all day long. You don't have to do that. We're programmed to do that, but that's not a requirement, okay? So when I feel stuck, I will blank instead of panic. When I say I blank and when I don't, meaning I say when I take a rest and when I don't. I say when I get to eat and when I don't. I will listen to my intuition first. Really big shift here. It's shifting. Can you feel it shifting? You can feel the energy shifting because you're not having to go without anymore. You're on point. Okay. Section 8. Section 8. Name the boundaries that have been crossed and or the boundary that is needed to be in place, right? To give you clarity and support your needs getting met. Okay, so if you're unclear about what a boundary is, go back to episode 14 and I get real clear on setting boundaries without being angry. You do not have to be angry. Boundaries are for giving you clarity. They're not for keeping people out. If you have clarity and you set those boundaries, especially when it comes to you, sometimes you're the one crossing the boundary. But if you set boundaries for other people and you set boundaries for you and you're absolutely clear on those boundaries, and you can feel when they're getting crossed because you get angry, you get upset, you get frustrated. Those negative emotions mean that there are missing boundaries in your life. You're either ignoring them or you haven't set them yet. So when that happens, it's time to do the obvious. Set the boundaries. So you can get more clarity on how to set boundaries, when to set boundaries, how to know when boundaries are out of whack by listening to episode 14. All right? So a boundary is needed when you feel negative emotion. Either you're not saying loud enough, clear enough to people, I'm going to take a break, I'm unavailable between 1 and 1:30, I'll see you after 1:30. If you're not getting clear on that, or somebody's like barging into your room and just taking over your time and not being considerate about your timeline and the things that you're in the middle of pursuing, that again, it needs to be a conversation that is had to set that boundary and get clear. It's like, I'm going to ask you to only knock once softly on my door. If I choose not to answer, you're going to have to wait. If I'm not here, you're going to have to wait. I will get back to you as soon as I can. You don't have to be angry. You can just be clear. I have many clients who have experienced in the past the freeze mode. And I'm one of those people, I'm included in that when you were a child and you got blindsided or startled, or there was some garbage going on, for lack of better words, there is this startle thing that happens in your nervous system where you're either going from between fight and flight, or you're in freeze mode. And so sometimes you get startled when there's a freeze going on inside of you. And I know you know what that means. I actually get spots in front of my eyes. As soon as somebody barges in or there's a loud, unexpected noise in the house, I will get, like, my nervous system just goes through the roof and I have a freeze response. I don't jump like somebody that would be in fight or flight. I freeze. And I get like a mini blackout where I get those black spots in front of my eyes, and it's a terrible feeling. But because it's not external and nobody can really see that what you just went through, they're not thinking anything twice about it. So I have had to retrain my children, close the door softly. I've had to retrain my husband. It's like, give me notice before you barge in my door with all your exciting news. Like, I've had to say, that feels terrible to me. That really, it's painful to me. And I know you can't see it. I know you can't touch it. But I'm just telling you that doesn't feel good to me. And I need you to be softer or more quiet. And it works, because they want the best for you. If you're around people that don't want the best for you, that's a totally different episode. Get out. Figure that one out, right? But it's very hard to get clear on this stuff if you're in the middle of a very toxic relationship. Even though you can make some progress, but eventually, when you set those boundaries in place, the toxic people in your life will exit. They can't stay because they can't manipulate you or control you anymore. And you're not trying to control them anymore. It's no fun. They're like, well, this isn't fun anymore. I can't feel important in your presence because you're not afraid of me anymore. So I guess I'm out. So that's a really important element of setting these boundaries and getting clear on what boundaries are needed. So you can tell just negative emotion is like, go back to the section 1. What was the trigger? If there was a trigger because a need went unmet, it means that there is a boundary that needs to be clarified for you. Okay, if you say you're going to go to bed on time so you can get up and exercise on that time, and then you renege on that at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you go and raid the refrigerator instead and stay up until you can't take it anymore, and then try and get up the next day and do more than what you've allowed for in your sleep patterns, that's going to be frustrating. You need boundaries around that. You need to figure out why you're frustrating yourself. It has to do with thought processes that are attached to a belief system. Oh, if I start an exercise program, I never finish, so why start? If that's the belief system, it's a false one. It's not true. You're believing it's true. When I start something, I never finish. That's not true. Maybe it was not the right program for you. Or maybe you were getting overwhelmed by how long it was going to take you to get fit. Whatever the thought process was, you got to figure it out. You got to go back, retrace your thought steps, and figure out what thought you're having that is ultimately culminating in a belief that is not working for you. And it's disallowing you to get your needs met. I need to be fit. And when I say fit, I'm not talking about competition body. I'm talking about health and wellness. It's like, man, I like being me. I'm really comfortable in my body. It's not a size. It's a feeling. It's a way of being. You can tell when you feel healthy, and you can tell when you don't feel healthy. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, here we go. Section 9, alternative thoughts that can improve the reliability of your beliefs. This is where you rewrite it again. You're going to reframe it again. If you've got those boundaries in place, because you're rewriting the thoughts about what you can and can't have. There's not a single true belief out there that starts with I can't have. The only true beliefs start with I can have. I can have it, I can do it, I can be it. So your alternative thoughts have to be the opposite of what you were doing before. So go back to those thoughts in section 3 and shift them. Shift them again. Turn it around in your head. Okay, so this is also pertaining to section 6. Section 6, it was helping you turn it around from a false belief to a true belief to help you further understand it. But if you're talking about the boundaries, that's going to also give you more clarity. Like you're going to be able to dive deeper into the thought processes that will work for you from now on. And I know some of you are like, I don't want the confrontation. I don't want to have to, because if I say it, they're going to have something to say back. And all you have to do is like, that's fine. You can feel that way about it. But this is what I need. And if you can't offer that, then we have no deal. Like you're going to have to figure out what that no deal looks like. But you've got to make it work for you. And the alternative thought is that she can have a hard day and I can still get what I need. I can, find the things that make me happy, and I don't have to worry or carry emotional space for their feelings. Because you are actually not in charge of other people's feelings. You are not the space holder or the placeholder for their emotions or their reactions or their responses. They get to choose how they want to respond or react, and my guess is if you're pulling the plug on something that they got to abuse you about, they're going to react poorly. They're going to kick and scream because they want their control toy back. They don't want you taking the joystick out of their hand. But when you get clear and you put your foot down, you're like, yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. Kick and scream if you need to. Go figure it out. That's on you, not on me. I'm going to do this thing that I need to do. And I make it sound easy, but when I told the kids, we're going to bed sooner. We're going to have dinner an hour sooner. The homework routine just after dinner and cleanup routine is going to happen sooner, and we're all going to bed sooner, and you're all going to get an extra 30 minutes of reading time before bed. So there was a bonus in it for them. They got to, not 10 minutes, but they got 30 minutes of downtime and reading time. And if they kept to the 30 minutes, they would earn another 10 minutes of free time, because we did homeschool, right? So they would get to go to recess 10 minutes earlier than normal. So when you make it work for you, there may be kicking and screaming. People aren't going to like it. It's change. They don't like change. They like They like the old you. Or you might like the old you. You might kick and scream against an early bedtime too, when you put it in place. Or you might kick and scream about not getting to eat what you want to eat whenever you want to eat it if you're trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in your life. So be patient with that. Watch yourself move through these emotions, these negative emotions, because they're just a habit of thought that's kicking and screaming. They're like, we don't want you to think better thoughts. We don't want you to be more patient. We don't want you to get out of overwhelm. We want you to be in constant turmoil. Yeah, just watch it. It's okay. You can have those feelings. You can have those emotions. Just watch how it rolls through. Just let it roll through. It's like, yeah, I hear ya, but I do want to do better for myself. So we're still going to keep taking care of ourselves now. You know? And pretty soon that old thought habit will fall off because you're not really giving it the time of day. Instead, you're getting in bed sooner, you're getting up, you're exercising, you're eating more fruits and vegetables. You're just doing the thing that you want to do because it feels better to you. You're not working for a size. You're not trying to impress anybody. You don't have any deadlines on it, because when do you finally arrive for health? Never. Your body's always shifting and changing. So you'll be taking care of yourself for the rest of your life, right? We don't ever stop taking care of ourselves and then just decide never to take care of ourselves again. So you're just relaxed, you're calm, you're doing what you need to do for you, and your thoughts are going to shift. They will just go to this new pattern of believing that you can have the things you want. Okay, last but not least, section 10, what have you discovered about your thoughts and your beliefs? So this is just you sharing your discoveries with yourself. This is really important for you to see. It's like, man, I was operating by a false belief that really kept me frustrated. And all this time, I thought that I had to do that. But turns out I actually don't, because I found evidence about how everybody else can have it. But I guess it's true for me also. I can have it too. I have had many people tell me everybody else makes it look so easy. They can get the things they want, they can have the things they want, and I don't understand why I can't have the things I want. Usually it's because the thought habit is you've got to make sure you block yourself. You've got to make sure that you keep yourself stuck. You got to play small, you got to be quiet, you got to suck it up, you got to work harder, you've got to be exhausted or it doesn't count, you got to do hard things, quote unquote. Whatever the belief system is that you think was required of you is the thing that's holding you back in your life. You've got to make your beliefs work for you. And as you go through this, you will discover so many thoughts and beliefs that you were like, oh my gosh, no wonder I have money issues. My parents were always talking about how broke they were. You're like, but I look around and there's a lot of people that don't have money issues. They're like, yes, please. We love money and money loves us. And because they're doing the things that they love, because they're focused on what they can have. Yeah, that's going to be you too. You're going to figure these things out. So just put those things, your discoveries about the thoughts and the beliefs that are now turned around, and you're like, hey, here's the truth of it. This thought makes me feel better. This belief system is something that I'm going to work on incorporating into my life. I'm going to be aware that this belief system is true for me too. If it's true for everybody else that has the stuff that I want or is doing the stuff that I want to do, then it's true for you. There is no sifting of people or classes. We tend to think that I can't have the things that they have. That is absolutely not true, or it would make you feel better. True thought feels good. A negative thought does not feel good. So that's how you know. Listen and lean on your emotions, because they're telling you, are you in alignment? Are your thoughts working for you? Are your belief systems working for you? Or are they not? Okay? Okay. If you need further assistance on this, I offer a free coaching session, and I always schedule somewhere between 1 and 1.5 hours available so we can really get into the nitty-gritty. If you need to get unstuck, if you need support, if you need help, you can email me at teresafordcoaching@gmail.com. That's TERESAFORD like Chevy, 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at teresaford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at teresaford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.